What I want to talk about on today's call is the state of marketing, the power of focus, Facebook advertising, the best 3 sales questions, video marketing, the importance of faces.
This call is being recorded.
So what I want to talk about on the marketing call today, guys, is Instagram. Instagram is exploding. Instagram is a juggernaut that businesses can no longer afford to ignore. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why Instagram is blowing up and then how we can take advantage of it as a channel. So the first reason Instagram is blowing up, I can't tell you how many people I meet just day to day that they just sort of say, like, I like Instagram better. And it's because of the photos. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but visual data is actually processed 60,000 times faster than text. And 40% of people will respond better to visual. 65% of people are visual learners. And the other thing that's really cool is that visual content, this is according to HubSpot, is actually 40 times more likely to get shared on social media. So the main reason that Instagram is exploding is that it is a 100% visual platform. Sure, you do add a little text to your post, but pictures win. I said in the conversion code, image is everything. So it starts with amazing, beautiful photos. And because Instagram's exploding, here's some stats on how businesses are using it. Like in 2017, there are actually now 71% of businesses that are using Instagram. But what's crazy is there are now 8 million business profiles. And last year at this time, there was only 1.6 million. So in 1 year, they quadrupled the number of businesses that are using it. In fact, Facebook, which obviously owns Instagram ads by the end of this year are going to account for 10% of Facebook's total revenue. And not only that, Instagram is also predicted to have more net revenue than both Google and Twitter. And then if you think about Instagram stories, because that was really the killer feature when they rolled that out, it was a game changer. The concept is that the stories actually disappear. There are already 250 million daily active users of Instagram stories. They already overtook Snapchat for that. So if you look at sort of what are the people doing that are going to Instagram, what are the consumers looking for? Well, in March of this year, over 120 million Instagrammers either visited a website, got directions, called, emailed, or DM'd a business. 120 million people in 30 days either visited a website, got directions, called, emailed, or DM'd the business. And 60% of Instagram users have said that they actually learned about a new product or service on the platform. So what do you do? How do you take advantage of it? Well, here's a couple pro tips that we need to start using. Number one is geotagging. When you actually put the location, and you can do this in a post or you could do this in a story, but posts with location, when you actually tag the location, has 79% more engagement than posts without a location. I can tell you guys that, like, when we were going through the hurricane and when I go to a conference, like when I add the location of where I'm at, it almost doubles my views. So location is critical. So if we're posting something about Amy up in Toronto, we should tag Toronto. If we're posting pictures from excellence in Austin, we should tag Austin. You have to tag the location. It's such a big best practice. The other thing, and part of the reason you want to use the right hashtags and you want to use the right location, is that right now, because of their algorithm, 70% of Instagram posts are never even seen. And so if you don't use the right hashtags and you don't tag the right location and you don't use the right kind of photos that I'll mention, it's just like Facebook. There's a formula now where it just all gets kind of hidden. The other cool thing, and this is something people ask me all the time, is about frequency. Like, how often should I post on Instagram, and sort of when, right? Like, what days of the week and what times of the day and how often should I post? And there's some great data Annette helped me pull here from a company called CoSchedule. CoSchedule is a social media platform for managing social media for companies like us. And they found some really interesting data. But number one, Monday through Friday are by far the best for engagement. Monday is the strongest day overall for engagement. And then when they looked at times, they actually found that 3 p.m., which, by the way, 3 p.m. is historically a great time to send an email. 3 p.m. is the worst time to post on Instagram. What they actually found was that there were 3 times per day that are the best times to post. And they found that it was 8 a.m., 5 p.m., and 2 a.m. So part of it is you're posting when people are looking at it the most, before and after work, 8 and 5. But part of it is that you're posting when there's the least amount of new posts. So that's where some of these scheduling tools like CoSchedule or Hootsuite can really help people. I think there's one called Later, which is kind of like it's Latergram, so that you can post now, but it actually will post it at a time in the future. So keep that in mind, that, you know, the time of the day you post, the day of the week you post, all matters. And that goes into frequency. You know, as much as it's challenging to keep up with all this stuff, Instagram's going to be tough because they're recommending at least 1 to 2 posts a day minimum, if not closer to 3. So they basically have found that if you only post once a day, it's a little too low. If you post 3 times a day or more, it's a little too high. So the sweet spot is really 2 posts per day, which I know can be challenging. It's hard enough to do 1 good post per day, but that really is the sweet spot. When we interviewed Lucky to Live here, she's posting 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And that's a small real estate company that operates in Long Island, and they're growing their following faster than we are because they're executing. It's just like Twitter. I feel like Instagram stories are the new Twitter. You can tweet 30 or 40 times a day and no one cares. But if you update your Facebook profile 30 times a day, everybody would unfriend you. Well, on Instagram, if you're doing stories, you can post 10 or 15 stories a day. And you can also post 2 or 3 regular pictures per day. So one of the challenges with getting Instagram right is going to be getting the frequency right. The other thing CoSchedule learned, which was interesting, is that videos can do really well. Like, they actually found that if you post the videos at night, so posting videos at about 9 p.m. or like that kind of 8 to 9 p.m. window, it actually gets you about 34% more interactions. So I think when people are during the day and they're busy, they got time to look at a quick pic. But if you want them to actually watch the video that you put on Instagram, you might want to post that later at night when they're not as distracted, which is really cool. The other thing is that while Instagram consumption of video is way up, they're actually up 40% on how many people watch videos. This is something I've learned the hard way. You can still get 36% more likes on photos than videos. So you definitely don't want to go all in with video on Instagram, because the photos are still what get the most engagement. But we're definitely seeing people consume the video there. It's just when they consume it, they don't engage with it as often. As far as like what to post and just thinking of our content strategy, you know, Annette pulled this from WordStream. They kind of quoted Gary Vee, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, it should be an 80-20 rule. Like 80% of your stuff should be jabs and helpful and high-level branding, and 20% of your stuff should be right hooks and stuff that tries to get a lead or tries to make a sale. So the 80-20 rule, you know, which I think applies to most social media, most email marketing, definitely applies here. But here was a really interesting stat as far as what kind of content to post. Instagram photos that feature faces get 38% more likes than those without a face. So please keep that in mind as we're launching our Instagram strategy is people are looking for other people. So things like product shots or things like a picture of the office, like those can do great too. But faces get 38% more likes than pictures without faces. They also found that almost 50% of captions and comments already have emojis. So you can definitely use emojis in your post over on Instagram, which is cool. The other little thing is the demographics. I thought this was interesting. They're looking at about 38% women and 26% men. That leaves a huge gap for other. So maybe they just haven't collected as much data. But if you look at that, there's almost 50% more women using Instagram as men. And then if you look at the age groups, I know that everybody knows the millennials are using Instagram. So 18 to 29, 59% of all millennials are using it. But even if you look at from 30 to 49, like 1 out of every 3 people, 33% of people 30 to 49 are using Instagram. And even if you go a little older, if you look at 50 to 65, it's still at almost 20%. So 1 in every 3 person 30 to 50 is on Instagram. 1 in every 5 people over 50, and basically 6 out of 10 millennials are on there. So where should we focus? Where should our audience focus? Our clients, the people listening to the show? 4 things, and this is what will turn into a roundtable at the end of this part of the call. Number 1 is we've got to get great at Instagram stories. I truly believe that Instagram stories are the next news feed. The difference between a story click and a view on Facebook is totally different. You do not see an Instagram story unless you want to. You have to click on the circle. That is a big deal. Facebook shows us what we want to see, but we don't control what we really see. And I think the reason stories are exploding is because it's the most like 100% opt-in permission-based marketing ever. I want to see what Jess posted, what Annette posted, what Curaytor posted. So you may get an ad or some type of post on Facebook that might show you that you reached 10 or 20,000 people. And you might have an Instagram story that only has 200 views. But 100% of the 200 views wanted to see it. How many of the people wanted to actually see the Facebook ad? A very low percentage of them. So stories are the next news feed. I could actually see in the future, I can't really see in the future, but I'm right on this stuff quite a bit. I could see a world in the future where even your Facebook news feed, you have to click to expand the post. It starts with who posted it. If I see that Jillian or Jimmy or Neil, like when I see who posted it, it automatically makes me want to see it. So this dynamic of like, I don't see the post unless I click first. I think that's the future of social media. I think that's the only way we can sort of quiet down the noisy news feed is to make it more permission based. The other thing beyond stories is stories you can run ads for. So if you're an Instagram influencer, if you have over 10,000 followers, you can do an Instagram story and people can swipe up to visit something after they swipe up. So you see Eric Thomas, Gary Vee, Ty Lopez, like these guys with these huge followings are constantly saying, hey, swipe up to see this. And I actually have some friends that have that capability. I actually have a friend that used to be in the NFL. He has 15,000 followers on Instagram. And when he does a swipe up post, he gets 3,000 of those 15,000 to swipe up. So that's only available currently if you have a huge following. But it's also available if you pay to play. John and I have been testing this. Annette and I have been testing this. But the Instagram swipe up to a video is where we should start. They see a teaser of the video in the story. They swipe up to watch the whole video. And the data is pretty compelling around how long they'll stay after they swipe up. So keep that in mind, guys. Stories that you can swipe up as an ad are doing really well. The other thing we're looking at Instagram is what's called lead ads. Because Instagram forever, I think like 3 or 4 straight years, there were no links. There was no way for someone to click and leave. And so people got used to not leaving. And so then when Instagram introduced like click and link ads, nobody clicked them. Because for 3 or 4 straight years, we got used to not clicking them. So that's why Instagram released lead ads. Because a lead ad is basically a pre-filled form that opens up on Instagram and the person doesn't have to leave. And that's where you can get their name or phone number or email, but it's just like a connect to Facebook. It's just pre-filled in. So stories plus the swipe up story ads that go to videos, plus lead ads where you actually get the name, phone number, and email of a lead. But where I see all of this being the most effective is Instagram as a retargeting platform, because it's still so much easier to go to YouTube and get 1,000 clicks. It's so much easier to go to Facebook and get 1,000 clicks. And now what you can do is you can actually retarget the people that engage with your Facebook ads on Instagram. You can start retargeting the people that subscribe to your channel or join your email list on Instagram. So between stories, swipe up ads that lead to videos, lead ads that capture leads, and then retargeting the back of everything we're already doing, Instagram is exploding. And now what we want to do is turn the corner. We want to go from using it passively to using it purposefully. I want everybody on this call to be as great and smart about Instagram as we are about Facebook, because it is the next frontier. Thank you guys for your time. Hey, this is Chris. Thanks for listening to my call. If you enjoyed the call, please subscribe right now. Also, share the episode and use the hashtag #CallsWithChris. Every week, I choose a few people randomly to win a free signed copy of the conversion code, my USA Today best-selling book. You can also visit Curaytor.com. That's Curaytor.com to learn more about my company, which is the one I'm running during these calls. We help small businesses grow faster, and we've been featured recently by Inc., Forbes, Fortune, and Entrepreneur Magazine.